Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore, and recently we stumbled upon a very fascinating limited research study that broke down the correlation of people who believed Amber or Johnny and the verdict compared to the mainstream media. This research was done by Dr. Colin Harris, and we have Dr. Colin Harris here right now. Thanks for being here, Colin. Honor to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me, Andy. It's my pleasure.
Some mind-blowing data in this that I'm excited to reveal to the audience. But before I even get to the data and the surprises, can you tell us a little bit about what this study was? Why did you do this study?
Well, initially, I was a little perplexed at the difference between what the narrative that the mainstream media was pushing forward in regards to the verdict and how it impacts, the DV community. And I had a totally different perspective since I watched the trial in its entirety. So I wanted to, mainly for my own sanity, take a picture of what the public actually thinks about the verdict, and based on the information out there, mainly the evidence and the testimony of the trial, and see if it aligns with what the mainstream media was putting forward. So that's ultimately what my goal was, to see the alignment between the two.
Well, what's fascinating is you do the data, you ask these, the audience, the people you're doing the research, like, who do you believe, who did what to who? We got to be careful of certain keywords here, but here was, people who wondered, did Depp, do that to Amber? 37% believe that, while 65, almost 66% believe Heard was the one who was actually hurting Depp. But what you did that was even more interesting than that was this. You asked those same people, the Heard supporters, the Depp supporters, how much of the trial they actually watched. And this blew my mind. The people who were, saying that, that were believed that Heard did the damage, 77% of those people who believe Johnny, let's say, actually watched 90% or more of the trial. Meanwhile, for people who believed Amber and that Johnny did it to her, that you asked the same question, well, how much of that? 25% of that people who believed Amber only that watched at least 90% of the trial. This is really shocking to me. It's basically, and you do this on multiple topics throughout, sort of all the allegations, evidence tampering, etc. Same thing here with the evidence tampering. 35% basically believed Amber, 64%, believed that Amber was more likely to tamper the evidence. But then again, all those people who believed Amber didn't watch the trial, which is really eye-opening. Was this a major surprise for you as well?
Well, I'm going to step back a little further. What inspired me to pose this or to actually focus on this particular area is one of my friends, a female, was over here, and I was kind of speaking about the trial and stuff. The verdict wasn't reached yet, and she made a statement that they both DV'd each other, and I was like, "Have you watched the trial?" And she was like, "No." And I put the trial on, and within I would say within 2 hours, she already had a point of view that AHDV'd JD. Mm-hmm. So, and now with that information, I still didn't have I still didn't have an idea of how the outcome would be. So it's very surprising to me to see it that high of a percentage. Well, I would say that low of a percentage that didn't watch the trial, but still believe that, JD DV'd her.
Yeah, I mean, it's shocking. I mean, it's a really good study. I'm going to put the link in the description so you guys can go get more details on it all. But like, example for defamation, did Depp defame Amber? 38% said yes. Look, fair numbers. It's not like it's down to zero, so it was completely all Johnny fans doing this. It does feel unbiased and fair. 62% believe that Heard defamed Depp. It's not 100%. It's like, it does feel like these are probably actual accurate numbers. But the more interesting data to me is, of those people who believed each other, 75% of the Johnny supporters watched the trial, watched the full 90% or more. Whereas for people who believed Amber, only 25% of them actually watched 90% or more of the trial. this is shocking, but it doesn't surprise me. I mean, I'm shocked, but I'm not shocked. You know what I mean, Colin? Because it's like, I've seen the media and so many spin it. It does really feel like we're watching a lot. We're being gaslit by a lot of people in the mainstream media, by like sort of just a lot of journalists and stuff who want to pretend like they really followed it. But our channel and others and people in our audience, we were watching that thing 100%. We were probably watching 200% if I'm being honest. And so, you know, that's why we were so Team Johnny. It wasn't because of stands and things like that. This data, I think, is really incredibly important. I guess my question, just to challenge a little bit, do you feel like this was fair data? Do you feel like you did this the best you could? Is this fully accurate in a way? Like, as someone who does a lot of research, I know that's for your background. How do you defend this data to maybe an Amber supporter who's going to say, oh, I don't believe it, this is clearly tainted? What did you do to try to avoid that?
Well, ultimately, you know, you really cannot avoid, regardless. The only way I would not get criticism on this is if it sways in Hurd's favor. So let's put that out there. I know that the research itself was done in a fair, accurate way. Even the data during the data collection process was always online for anyone to see. Until the closing date. That's the reason. And it's still available. The link is still available. So, and the data is still available if anybody wants to challenge it. And anyone wants to challenge this, I welcome them to redo it with me, and they can be and serve as an oversight. So it is fairly accurate. Like any research, there is some limitations in regards to the number of participants. I wouldn't say participants, respondents. The number of respondents, I would have loved for it to be a lot higher. And do plan on probably, you know, depends if the resources justifies it, repeat this in a different format. But I stand behind this research 100%.
Well, I mean, look, I've been talking to you before. We set this up just to verify that you weren't some crazy person. You seem like very on top of this and a great, impressive background. And I'm impressed by these numbers because, again, even if it was tainted by, say, the bot sentinel, bot crew, whatever, what's interesting is you'd think they would have admitted that they watched more of the trial. So it does feel there's something more honest that's, I feel like, is revealed in this data as you guys go through it, which you should. It's pretty impressive. And it makes me want to really, if we can help, I don't, associating with me will make people scream, always biased. But if there are ways we can help you, you know, get some, you know, people to film actual results in other places, I think it'd be fascinating to get off the internet, honestly, and really do this study, you know, person to person in different pockets around the country. Because look, I actually want real data here. I don't want fake data. I don't want to have biased data. I'm genuinely confused like you of like, is what I'm reading online accurate when I see these journalists and people believing her and this weird tide? Or do the people at the, you know, Main Street around the country, are they, you know, maybe they didn't watch the trial, but where are they thinking or where are they leaning towards? It'd be really fascinating to do that. Are you open to sort of doing more trials of this sort of data to see, you know, to get more studies done regarding this topic?
Definitely. Definitely. And I think a qualitative study, which would be, you know, actually going out and speaking to the people, I think that add a lot of value because with that, you can also add context, which you wouldn't have in my, you know, you can ask follow-up question, which you don't have in my survey polling type of research. And you never know, we might do that type of research and realize that, you know, the findings are similar. And, you know, that's what research is all about. You know, you do a part of the research, maybe somebody else to do another part, or you do it in a different format. And that's all in the effort of getting to the truth. This is not about, you know, Team Johnny or Team Amber. Ultimately, it's getting to the truth.
Amen, sir. I'm all about it. And if we can help at all, I'm down. I mean, I'm curious what you guys think. Would you like us to help sort of invest or get involved to get more of this accurate data? Let me know down below. I mean, and going through this, you guys should definitely check out the full study. You know, in fabricating allegations, did Heard fabricate allegations? Of 63% said yes. And again, interesting. The people who said no, that she didn't, 24% of those people watched the trial for at least 90%. Sorry, I thought I had on screen. That was the 63. The people who said no, she didn't. I mean, that's just jarring.
Mhm.
It's jarring to see. And so I found this fascinating. I wanted to make sure you guys got to see it. I mean, anything else you want to sort of discuss from your sort of conclusions in this that you found, interesting or surprising to you?
For most of it was straightforward. I was a little bit surprised of, and this is after, hearing the narrative over and over, because in reality, it's this type of gaslighting is pretty effective, because even for someone like myself who saw the trial, still kind of have doubts, like, wait a minute, am I losing my mind here? What did they see that I didn't see, or what did they hear that I didn't hear? And so ultimately, I was expecting it to be a little more close as far as maybe a little more 55 to 45. I didn't, even with the individual general data, it's still pretty much skewed around the 65 onwards to the 35, 34. If you look at all the data, 62 here. And I was still a little surprised about that. So, number one, even though it's a limited research, I mean, yes, it's 322 people. It do have some value, because even in the trial, they only used 7 people to come to a decision. So it do have some value. Each and every narrative, I was expecting at least 1 or 2 to go in Hort's favor. For instance, the PTSD number.
Yep.
PTSD people PTSD.
Just to clarify, you also in the data you were getting, it was men, women, but non-binary, and then DV/SV survivors, as well as PTSD survivors. Yes. It is interesting. You can see that data broken down too. And as you break down the conclusion, it was majority, right, of survivors and people with PTSD really believed Depp was the victim here.
Yeah. That's I've noticed that was one of the first trend, because I don't know how much my background you look at. I am a Air Force veteran. I'm a 100% disabled veteran, and I also have PTSD. So I want to make sure that I capture that data, because the symptoms was not synonymous with what I'm used to, or during the trial and some of the evidence and stuff. So I was like, okay, I'm just one person with PTSD. Let me look at the data for other people with PTSD. DV survivors, I'm not a DV survivor or SV survivor, or nobody in my household, like on a regular basis, I'm familiar with on an intimate basis. So I want to make sure I capture that type of data. And a lot of this was to pretty much I wouldn't say combat. The mainstream media actually provided these parameters, because these are the areas they were saying that the verdict would negatively impact. And my results show the opposite. They said, the DV, setting the DV/SV community backwards. This data doesn't say that.
Yeah, it's fascinating, and I'm really glad you put it out there, and I want to make sure we helped spotlight it a bit, because it does feel very important to get out there, and I'm all about figuring out how do we ensure we can help you do this accurately, and again, not tainted one way or the other. I really want the real data, so if anybody else out there wants to help us in these research studies, let us know. I don't want super fans of either. I want to make sure we can get people who can properly document, videotape, and ensure it's all being done correctly. But reach out to us. We may start to see if we can help Colin in the future get some of this done, because I find it fascinating. Bravo to this work, sir. Let me make sure I plug. If you guys want to reach out to Dr. Colin, Dr. Harris, you can go over to his Twitter, which he just started up. Go give him a follow. Bam. And go say hello. And I can't believe we're Tampa neighbors. How cool. Yep. We're going to have to meet up at some point. Pleasure to meet you, sir. Any final words you want to say before we let you go?
Yeah, I also have a YouTube channel. It's titled The Star Apple. I usually do educational videos on theories and stuff. Educational theories. A lot of stuff is relatable to contemporary, some mild political stuff, historical stuff. It's called The Star Apple. And my Facebook and my Instagram is also it says Dr. Colin A. Harris. And
I'll put the links in. I can't find it as quickly, but I thought I had them all. I'll make sure we put the link to Dr. Colin in the description. So if you want to go find him and find all this stuff, make
Okay.
sure you go click the link in the description. You'll be able to go support it. Pleasure to meet you, sir. Let's definitely keep in touch and figure out what else we can do. And if you want to see his report, I highly encourage you go give it a look. It's fascinating breakdown, and the numbers will surprise you. Lovely to meet you, sir. Thanks for being here. And thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already, make sure you are subscribed, hit that button and hit that bell so you get sure that you are getting the notifications. Smash the like if you liked it, or don't like it. Smash the dislike. Either engagement helps, along with those comments to help get the word out in the video. I appreciate all you beautiful people. Hope you're having a wonderful day. We'll see you soon here on Popcorn Planet.